Your me time is here, because The View is live.
I went to an Ivy League college. I did very well.
Trumped up. The president schools the crowd on his Ivy League smarts. But does it send a mixed message to his supporters?
I love the poorly educated.
Real Housewife party foul. How Sonia Morgan handled it when she invited 1,000 people to her house by accident. Plus, Dr. Phil is helping the ladies work it out at the Hot Topics table. And Miles Teller on how his new movie, Thank You for Your Service, exposes the battle our troops face when they get back home. Let's go! Let's light up Hot Topics with Whoopi, Sarah Haynes, Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, and Meghan McCain. Now, let's get things started.
Mixed messages, infighting, and conflicting reports from the news coming out of D.C., the new guy felt it was time to hold a press conference and clear things up about himself. Take a look.
Well, I think the press makes me more uncivil than I am. You know, people don't understand. I went to an Ivy League college. I was a nice student. I did very well. I'm a very intelligent person. The fact is, I really believe the press creates a different image of Donald Trump than the real person.
So it isn't any of the stuff you said or how you said it. You're concerned that the press is making you out to be a not a good. I didn't get it. What does he mean?
Professor William T. Kelly, a marketing professor at Wharton from 51 to 82, frequently described Trump as, quote, the dumbest I ever had.
Yeah.
That's a professor.
At the Ivy League school.
Right, at the
school. I love the phrase, when your actions speak for you, don't interrupt. The people that are living the action don't have to tell you they're doing it.
Exactly.
They just show you they're doing it.
That's what's fascinating. He keeps on saying, I'm really, really smart. I'm really, really smart. But in 2004, Stephen Hawking, who is really one of the smartest people on the planet, was asked what his IQ was, and he said, I have no idea. People who boast about their IQ are losers. And that's the truth, right?
Thank you.
You don't have to talk about how smart you are.
I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think constantly calling him stupid and saying that he is, the dumbest president alive, he got elected and he clearly did something right. It clearly resonated with some people. But I will say what's interesting about attacking the press is if you adhere to old political ideology and campaigning and, sort of the old rules of politics, blaming the media means you're losing. It's actually like a really old tactic where you're just like, nothing I'm accomplishing. It's all the media's fault. It's all the media's fault. And we've been talking a lot, Joy, about the importance of humor and comedy. And I actually think a big misstep for him was not performing at the White House Correspondents' Dinner and showing that he can sort of make fun of himself,
he's not
make fun of his presidency.
He can't do it.
Well, he
can't.
Why do you think he can't?
He's humorless. He has no sense of real humor. His idea of a joke is Puerto Rico. Did you see that? That's what he thinks is funny.
Yes, I did.
Puerto Rico.
Yes, I did.
Like a 3-year-old.
Well, I think there are theories, Megan, what you were saying about, like, he won the election. There are theories on his ability to persuade people, but any person who is intelligent or smart recognizes there are so many forms of intelligence. He tends to be telling us something about his own insecurity when he defends so much his book smarts.
Exactly.
So everyone misspells words occasionally. I've done it on a tweet. But he harps on it when someone points it out. He's saying more about himself than anyone else.
Well, so why is he bragging about being in an elite school when he hates elites?
Yeah,
his whole thing is about
that's what's fascinating.
Oh, I went to an Ivy League school.
Well, in 2011, He said of Obama, how does a bad student go to Columbia and then to Harvard? Let him show his records. Well, if you're actually who you say you are, new guy in the office, show your records. Show us how smart you are.
Yes. He's not going to do it.
Well, and that's the thing.
But the important thing is, the reason why he's so fascinating, though, is he says, I'm so wealthy. I went to an Ivy League school. All these things that if Mitt Romney had maybe tried it, maybe he would have been more successful just owning himself. The one thing I will say is President Obama didn't give a press conference for 10 months. And this off the cuff, speaking to the press all the time, he also loves the press, which is why this is confusing to me.
Trump?
Yes. I mean, he can't get enough of it.
Hate.
He's always giving, you know, I think this was he was speaking before he was getting on the White House lawn, I believe. But he's obsessed with the press as well at the same time as attacking them. But if I were advising him right now, I would say try and do an interview with someone other than a political pundit or journalist that you know maybe is a fan of yours or likes you. Try maybe talking to someone.
Here. He needs to be here.
Yeah, come here.
But I think that Whoopi, your point was so your point is so fascinating to me because one, he really attacked President Obama for being an Ivy League educated president. He wanted to see his transcripts, and he often boasted that he graduated first in his class from an Ivy League school. Well, come to find out, with a little bit of research, he transferred into the Ivy League school his junior year after spending 2 years at Fordham University, which is here in New York, a very respectable university. And then apparently, and this is just what's been written, he had an interview with an admissions officer who was friendly with his brother, and that is why he got into this Ivy League school.
But for me,
so why does he attack other Ivy League?
I think
But why does he attack
Obama?
Obama?
About all of this for me is I want to know, when did having an education become a negative?
Yes.
Because I grew up and education was everything. Education is what got you where you're going. And so the idea that you, well, I'm talking about everybody. The idea that suddenly now you're an elitist if you went to this college or if you went to this school or if you have a thought that's different from this, that you don't get what's going on. So many people have worked their behinds off to go to these schools that I don't understand why. And I know conservatives kind of use that a lot, like it's a bad thing, and I don't know why.
But, you know, but didn't during the campaign, didn't he say, I love the poorly educated?
Yes.
Now a lot of the poorly educated voted for him, and now he's turning on them by saying, hey, I'm not
That's what doesn't make any sense.
Like you are,
He's
and they still like him.
He's
I don't
attacked other
understand
people
that.
for being educated.
It's super simple. He doesn't speak like a politician. He doesn't seem scripted.
What does he speak like?
He speaks, I think he speaks like the average American who was sick of being told what to do. I mean, the analysis of Donald
I think
Trump's
the average
language
American
and how
speaks much better than Donald Trump does, honestly.
Listen, I feel, you know, I know we have to move on, but I think trying to understand him and his voters is a lot more productive than just simply attacking him for being stupid.
All right, well, I love how you did that.
Well,
we'll be right back.
Tomorrow on The View, get ready for Friday, yes! Since the hot topics are on fire. And our political view is sizzling when the Bush twins, Jenna and Barbara both drop by.
TGIF.
Tomorrow on The View.
Each year, Sarah collects 58,000.
Give his take on hot topics. And thank you for your service, star Miles Teller.
Sonny.
Thank you, Whoopi. Well, it's National Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Every 9 seconds in the U.S., a woman is assaulted or beaten. I'm on the board of Safe Horizon, which is the largest provider of domestic violence services in the country. And we have a new campaign called Put the Nail in It, where men and women are encouraged to make a donation and paint their left ring fingernail a shade of purple, which is the color associated with domestic violence prevention, and share it on social media. We all have our nail painted purple today. Check out our website to see our new PSA and for more information on how you can help.
So, one of the new guy's most outspoken opponents, Senator Lindsey Graham, is putting the past aside, saying he's just trying to get taxes cut. So is he right to put things aside and get down to business?
Well, It's exhausting, I swear to God. It's exhausting. And, now Flake comes out and does that wonderful speech and then quits. So what good is that?
Well, I kind of think this shows why the Flakes and the Corkers have to maybe not stay, because it's almost like you get one or the other. Either you stay and you fight, but you'll probably lose, as you were sharing some of the support the Republican Party has for Trump, or you bite the bullet, you stay, and you do what you have to do to get something done.
I don't understand the hypocrisy. I mean, Graham was one of Trump's fiercest critics, right? So he called intensely
called him a jackass.
Critical. And then Trump called Graham a lightweight and an idiot who seems to me not as bright as Rick Perry. Now all of a sudden Graham is like, Trump is actually growing into the job.
Because he wants to get reelected.
What do I believe? Who can I believe?
The first thing I will say is it's always a little awkward to talk about Lindsey Graham because he's a very close friend of my father's. I've known him since I was little. I call him my illegitimate uncle. And he was a very intense anti-Trumper during the campaign. The one thing I will say about his relationship with Trump, which I'm fascinated by it because he still is critical of Trump right now. He'll still come out and criticize some of the decisions he's making. Charlottesville is a good example. He came out saying it was entirely wrong how it was handled. But it gives me comfort to know, because I so trust Lindsey Graham, I'm ideologically very aligned with him, to know that there's someone in President Trump's inner circle that I trust, much like the people he's put in his cabinet. So I would rather have someone attempting to talk to him and attempting to sort of maybe come to some kind of agreement on things in the middle. I'm very surprised at the evolution of their friendship, because they seem to have turned into quite good friends.
Well, you know what the issue is? None of them speak out unless their term is up.
Yes.
It's only so the solution is term limits. If you give the senators only 2 terms, the way you give the president, then they will have to speak the truth because they don't have to run again. That, to me, is a solution to the problem.
That's a great suggestion. I think that's a great suggestion. And as we always do after a great suggestion, we leave. We'll be right back.
The official View store is open 24/7. So for mugs, merch, and more, go to our website, click on the store, and see how good the view looks all over you.
I was at the 92nd Street Y with Melissa Rivers, reminiscing about her mom, Joan. There's a new book out called Joan Rivers Confidential. And I have to tell you, Joy and I were just saying, I miss her. I miss Joan every second. And I realized how much, because, she would, I know she would be having...
It's hard to believe.
So much to say.
When someone with such personality dies, it's hard to believe they're gone.
Yeah. Their energy almost stays behind it. Feels like in some ways.
So I told her my favorite joke,
which is
so one day Joan had her Pekingese with her, and she went whoopee, and I went, and she picked the Pekingese up and said, Madonna. Because that was, I guess, the phase when she wasn't shaving her off. She had me on the floor. So grab the book. It's really, really good. It's really good. So some people's minds will wander during sex when they've been in a relationship apparently for a while. But experts say there's nothing wrong with fantasizing about other people. Unless it happens like every time. And it's always about the same person. There's a problem. I don't even want to, but I have to. Do your minds wander?
Remind me that, talk about a joke. There's a joke, an old joke about a couple are lying in bed, they've been married a long time, and they start to make out a little, and then they just turn around and go to sleep, and then the husband wakes up and says, "What's the matter, couldn't you think of anybody?" So it's an issue.
They say 46% of women think of other people.
I know who you think of.
I think it's safe to think of Idris Elba.
I love that you are so faithful.
Does he do house calls?
I mean, come on. Everyone was backstage before Idris came out. We shared a moment.
I heard.
I can't wait for her husband to tell her who he occasionally
Oh, I know.
thinks so.
Yeah,
Don't
he
tell
has-
him it's
he
me.
has
I can't do it.
But I think that's probably totally normal because I think if intimacy is such a huge part of or just sex is a huge part of a long-term relationship, I think it's important to invent it, reinvent it, keep it interesting.
Yeah.
You know, do what you have to do,
It's
and I
better than
expect that.
cheating.
Yeah.
I expect that my partner does. I don't necessarily want to hear the narrative, but
Yeah.
like I assume it's going on. There are times he really lights up when he
What
looks
if
at
he
me.
yells out her name? Sonny, if you start yelling Sonny.
Oh my God.
This was funny though. Sometimes Alexa answers and no one screamed, and all of a sudden she's talking, and you're like, Alexa, what are you doing with your hands?
Because Alexa's having sex in the other room.
You'll hear her and she'll be like, I do not understand what you're saying. I'm like, shut up!
Do you think it's okay to think about someone else?
Yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, I think fantasies are important in sex and relationships in general, especially if you've been together a long time. I know someone who they as a couple, they will pretend to be other people and like pick each other up at bars.
That's cute.
They'll
Oh,
like
really?
dress differently and whatever. And I'm like, I think that's so healthy. I mean, when you're 10 years into a relationship, I think you got to spice it up. I would want my man to fantasize about someone who at least like looked like me. If it was a really skinny girl with like no boobs or butt, I'd be mad. But as long as it's like a curvy woman, then I'm fine. Then you can
say that because there is something called spectrophilia. Do you know this? Talking about no boobs in it. It's about people who are sexually attracted to ghosts.
They have
So
sex with
weird.
The ghost.
Well, here's the thing.
Yeah.
You can only have sex with the ghost if the ghost is in someone else. Because,
whoa,
you know,
whoa.
I know this.
You know this better than anyone.
We'll be right back. We'll be right back.
Hot topics. I'll talk to you about hot topics. We're going to put some heat in the house in just a minute. I'll be right out there.
Oats seem pretty simple, right? They're actually kind of extraordinary. See, oats contain a soluble fiber called beta-glucan. Beta.
You're constantly bragging about how smart he is. What does that mean?
You know, if you got to tell them,
Right. I don't think Einstein said, I'm so smart.
you know, walk softly, carry a big stick.
Yeah. And what about this other topic we were just doing about, you know, like when you're having sex with your partner after a long time, you think of somebody else. You think that's legit? Or is that like kosher sex or what? As they call it.
Kosher
It's
sex.
a bestseller.
Remember the book by Rabbi?
Yeah, there's a book by Rabbi Shmuley. Yeah.
No,
Kosher
I've actually
sex.
had him on with that book, actually. I think it's very normal. I mean, Robin and I have been married 41 years.
Yeah. And who do you think about?
I fantasize that I'm someone else.
That's a good idea.
Robin fantasizes about shopping. And, I think it's
You're
very-
just a big Macy's.
I think it's very normal and natural. And if you're not scaring the cat, you're not doing it right. So you've got to get, you got to be free. You got to be free about this stuff. And I think we're a very puritanical society. I think you got to be.
And the ghost.
Hair in the cat.
What about the ghost sex?
Hair in the cat.
The ghost sex. What about that? The ghost sex. No, what's that?
What goes?
Oh, you missed that one. Never mind.
No, ghost sex.
Yeah, the fetish.
So it's apparently a fetish where people they're into having sex with ghosts.
Yeah.
I did point out that because the ghost goes through you, it has to inhabit the body of someone else to have sex with you.
Yeah, but you don't see that when
Bobby
you see a
Brown's book,
ghost.
he said he had sex with a ghost.
Well, hell, I'm willing to give it a shot.
He's going to give it a shot.
I'm willing to give it a shot. Do I get
Yeah.
to pick the ghost?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I think they just come to you.
Oh,
I
I
think-
can't like get Mae West or somebody.
Mae West.
Well, you said ghost. You got to be dead, right?
If it's a male ghost, he probably disappears right after.
Yeah.
So turning to a serious topic. Turning to a little bit of a more serious hot topic, Dr. Phil. We've been talking about Harvey Weinstein a lot on this show. And apparently he's checked into a rehab facility after just 1 week checked out.
Yeah.
Now, can his actions be considered a sex addiction? Is a sex addiction, in the DSM?
Is it something?
Right. Yeah. Is it something that is a true diagnosis? And can a week in rehab even help a sex addiction?
Oh, sure. Yeah. No, I think you can take care of a 30-year chronic problem in 4 or 5 days. No problem. Of course not. Look, listen, there's a big debate about whether sex addiction is a real thing or not. It's not in the DSM-5. It's not recognized by the American Psychiatric Association, but it's pretty much split within the profession as to whether it's real or not. I have to tell you, I've never encountered a case that I thought was legitimate. I think it's something that when somebody gets caught by their wife, they say, the devil made me do it. I'm addicted, and so let the healing begin. I just don't think it's an addiction. I think an addiction really is a physical thing to a substance or whatever, but let's assume that it's real. Because there are those that will argue that it is a very legitimate thing. You damn sure can't deal with it in a week.
Yeah.
Because it's layered. It's layered. You've got to unpack a lot of things about why you feel that entitlement, about why you don't have the impulse control, and why you don't have the empathy. And when you're doing those sort of things, it's not about sex, it's about power and abuse. And you got to unpack all that, and you can't do that in a week. I'm about as straightforward as you can get, and I couldn't do it in a week. I could not take somebody and walk them through that in a week.
And sexual assault is a crime, not an addiction, right?
Exactly. That's what I mean. You can't take somebody and unpack all that in a week.
Right, but just out of curiosity, if someone, because all of our addictions, whatever they happen to be, are rooted in other things. So it is quite possible that someone uses that as their way to deal with stuff, and then when they become an addict, because addicts are crazy, they do stuff that people would just not normally do. So I wonder if it can be an addiction, because remember, they used to call women hysterics, because they didn't really believe. So I wonder if that's something that we're going to see maybe more information on in the next 10 years or something.
Well, that may be, but the point is, that's why I say, for the sake of argument, assume that it's true. It is a very layered thing. There's going to be a neurological component, there's going to be a biochemical component, there's going to be a behavioral component, and there's going to be some motivation to it that is other than what seems apparent. I've spent my life focusing on why people do what they do and don't do what they don't do, and you're going to have to find that drive somewhere, and it's not going to be about sex.
Well, I want to change directions. I'm Dr. Phil today. You talked to a guy who was catfished majorly online to the point he got engaged and was sending money to someone who he had never met. You have a clip we're going to see, but can you tell us what it's about?
I will. And you would think that people that look at this say, how can you be so gullible? Love is blind, and these people target folks that are lonely. They've had a loss in their life, so they're very vulnerable, and they find them on these sites. They target them and study them and start telling them what they need to hear. They're very good at doing that, and that's what happened here. And this man was very sophisticated. He was in his 50s. He was a businessman, home builder. And she suckered him out of $211,000.
Oh my God.
And I've dealt with him over $1 million. And he came to make it clear that she was real and she was going to be there and they were going to get married. What they do is they find some pictures on the internet, they steal them, build a story around them, and pretend to be that person. We found the woman behind those pictures.
Oh, well, and we're going to see. I think we see that.
Take a look.
Clip.
Wow.
She's not in Amsterdam. She's here. She's in this building.
I hope she has $211,000 on her.
She is a victim because whoever did this stole her identity. And she is here. Alicia, come on out.
Wasn't her.
Wait, is that her?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the woman that was in the
Her
pictures.
identity was stolen.
By the
but
catfisher.
she's not the woman
And think about him. He's been in love with that woman, that picture, that countenance for 2 years. And for the first time, he sees her in person. and finds out she's a mother of 4 from somewhere else.
And she's still married, the woman? The
Yeah.
one, this one? Too bad, because that would have been a nice match.
Yeah, that'd been a hell of a show.
Yeah.
And it's absolutely heartbreaking. And the target people that empty their retirement funds. And here's an interesting fact. I'll be real quick.
Okay.
When you see people and they send them these letters, they have this broken English where they say, my heart love you. And you go, what? He's supposed to be from Cleveland? I talked to some real scammers and said, you've got grammar check. Why do you not fix this? They said, it's our screening device.
Yes.
If they're willing to overlook that, they're a good target.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. That's interesting.
Yes.
Yeah.
Phil is always interesting. He's never boring.
No.
We love when he's here. Come back anytime. You can catch Dr. Phil weekdays. Check your local listings. And, of course, we will be right back. All of us.
Next, Miles Teller on why Thank You for Your Service was the toughest role he's ever taken.
Go on, just try to catch your breath, America. Because this will be even more terrifying than our political hot topics.
It's going to be a horror. A horror.
Yes, this will be.
Very scary.
Oh my God. Tuesday, it's the To Die For Halloween spine-chilling spectacular.
We're in danger, girl.
So, what will they wear? Who will they be? And what scary mad fun will J.B. Smoove and Yvette Nicole Brown shock us with?
Spooky.
And we've even got your golden ticket with a performance from Broadway smash, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Whoa!
Tuesday, party with us.
We seem got engaged. He's a busy fella. So please welcome Miles Teller.
I said you're so tall.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw the movie, but I didn't realize you were this tall.
Here I am.
Here you
A
are.
lot of movie actors are short.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah, it's true.
Because they're always the same height as the women, so they like them short a lot of times, right?
Yeah, I don't need an apple box or anything.
No, apple box, right.
Slang for basically just a box you stand on to make you look taller.
Well,
Biz
congratulations
jargon.
on your engagement.
Thank you.
That's amazing. Does it feel any different? And she's gorgeous. She's gorgeous. She's a model.
There she is.
A beautiful model.
And she's light.
She's light. Yeah. Those are real. Those are real elephants.
Yeah, in the background.
I did it on a safari, which was pretty cool.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Does it feel different though now that you're a fiance as opposed to a boyfriend?
It feels different when I say it. I just think it's weird that you now have to use this, this word for a short period of time. Fiance. It's like it doesn't exist in language at all, except for just this very brief period in your life. And I find myself calling her my girlfriend or my girl, and it's like no, it's my fiance. So.
But when you say that, it makes them ask about weddings because it is temporary. So I went to the point where I went back to boyfriend just to avoid
just so you
a
have
question.
to deal with it. Yeah.
And people are already probably giving you wedding advice, right?
Her sister's a wedding planner. We're trying to pump the brakes. We're trying to just. Everyone always wants to expedite and be like, oh, you're engaged when you get married. Oh, you have a kid. When are you having another kid? And then it's like everyone's always moving on. So we're just trying to enjoy the moment.
Enjoy the moment.
Well, this morning, we picked subjects in the morning that we're going to talk about, and one of the things we were going to talk about, but we didn't, was that Mila Kunis says that when they asked her, name one thing that annoys you about your husband, Ashton Kutcher, and she could not name one thing.
That's sweet.
So I ask unto you, is there anything that annoys you yet?
Or what about you to her? Like,
that she's just so pretty and sweet.
Good answer.
That's got to get old. Her great personality is just so annoying.
That's a good answer for a soon-to-be hubby.
Very smart.
Hubby. Oh, jeez.
rounding up already.
Well, you
That's
have
the new one.
2 new movies coming out, which even if you weren't here, I would definitely see both of these. The first one's called Only the Brave.
I love your dress, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
The dog?
Thank you very much. Mixing it up. Thank you.
Nicely done.
Thank you very much. The first one's called Only the Brave, which is about the 13 firefighters who perished, 19, who perished in Arizona fighting the wildfires. And the second one is called Thank You for Serving.
Thank you for service.
Thank you for service. Excuse me. Could I screw this up more? I apologize.
Right here with you.
It's only my third week, guys. But can you tell me about your movie? Because it's about the military, obviously.
Yeah.
And 22 soldiers a day die coming back of suicide, which I don't think that is said enough on television. Can you tell me why you chose to do this movie and what it's about?
Yeah, so David Finkel, he was a journalist for the Washington Post, and he was just really kind of intrigued and engaged on what was going on, the war in Iraq. And so during the surge, he went over and embedded himself with the 216, which was the unit, the battalion and the regiment that Adam was serving in. He wrote this book called Good Soldiers, and he basically was with these guys, in the Humvee, getting shot at, with mortars for 9 or 10 months, and he thought that was it. And then he just really became, fascinated with these guys, and a couple of them were getting medevaced for various reasons. Adam Schumann, the staff sergeant I play, for post-traumatic stress, and he wanted to see what that transition was going to be like for them when they came home. And this movie, from the veterans, the viewing experience that they've had, they've all just said that this is a it's almost like working as therapy for them, but it's it's extremely authentic, and I think as citizens, we really have no idea what these guys go through, that struggle to reintegrate, because we train them up and we have no problem sending them to war, but we still don't know how to bring them back.
Yes.
And it's crazy.
But this is based on a real soldier. What did he share with you to have you prepare for it?
I think I was just unaware of it. It's crazy how much these guys have to. So basically, there's two different systems that these soldiers are in. So there's one operating system. I think it's Alta, and that's all the data for them when they're in country or when they're serving, when they're active, and then there's this other computer system for when they come back to the VA. And these two systems can't communicate with each other. So these guys are having to go around and get all these signatures and prove that they were in this battle or they were around these burns, and that's why they have, lung cancer, almost like the first responders that you're seeing, from 9/11. Those guys, there was like a 15-year life expectancy, and these kids are experiencing, incredible amounts of trauma, and then they're having to come back, and there's just a lot of red tape that they have to go through, and I was kind of shocked by that. Like, Adam was straight up told he had an injury, he should have Purple Heart, and he was straight up told by someone that the injuries that he sustained, this person found it to be highly unlikely that he would have sustained them in this type of firefight. Oh my God. So it's
that is shameful.
It's tough, and these guys have to be their own kind of best defense, and they don't have lawyers, so it's tough, and we just, you feel for these men and women because they're giving so much at such a young age.
And I got to tell you, you are so fantastic in this film.
Oh, thank you.
You are so wonderful in this film. And it's hard to watch, but you are amazing.
You're so fantastic, we have a clip.
All right, he did his job. Now do yours.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. Well on.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah,
So good.
it's a must-see, and this is a much lighter note. This is your first time here, which we said, so we wanted to learn a little bit about you.
Thanks for having me.
And our favorite initiation is a lightning round. Okay. So speed is the name of the game. Okay. Where did you grow up? That's
South
an easy one.
I know, but South Jersey and Florida.
Okay.
It's like half and half.
Nickname as a kid?
Miles the Masher.
Oh. The last famous friend you texted or called? Aside from your hot fiance.
Besides my smoking hot fiance, Michael B. Jordan.
Okay,
That's a good one.
That's a good one.
You have a dog you're obsessed with. Dressing your dog in clothes, yes or no?
Originally no, but now yes. For sure. The bugs. A dog wearing a hat is like a little much, but she doesn't seem to mind it.
Frenchies wear them well.
They
Frenchies
do.
wear them well.
She's got the figure for it.
You know what, man? You come back anytime.
Oh,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
Get to know us, we'll get to know you, and
sure.
it'll be a good relationship. Thank you to Miles Teller. Only the Brave is in theaters now. And thank you for your service opens Friday. And don't forget what he said about these guys coming back. We can help. We can do better than we're doing. We'll be right back.
Tomorrow, Jenna Bush Hager and Barbara Bush are live on The View. What life was really like growing up in the White House, and if they have any advice for the Trump kids.
No more Joe Girardi. Have a great day. Take a little time to enjoy The View. Bye, Joe.
Prescription opioids and heroin grip our community. Still 6.1 million Americans who need treatment don't receive it. It's time to speak up, Dayton, and protect what you care about. Visit wakeup-dayton.